Now that you have been properly introduced to the principles of graphic design, you're ready to dive into the more practical part of this course. In this topic, we will go over the different production software options that you could use to work on your design projects, and the difference between Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign. We will also go over the differences between raster and vector-based files. To start off, we should go over what are raster and vector files. Raster images are the most common type of image files, and they are usually what is mostly used around the web, as they load quickly and are small in size. Raster files are all bitmap-based files like JPEGs and PNGs. The photos taken by your camera are also saved as such images. They're usually in really high resolution. These file formats are built by millions of square pixels and can actually be seen when zoomed all the way in. Raster images are saved with a set resolution and size, which makes them lose quality if scaled above it. Vector images, unlike their raster counterpart, are constructed by complicated paths and points that form the so-called Bezier curves. Thanks to a mathematical calculation, you're able to scale your design to infinity. That's why logos and other professional designs are always created in vector-based production tools such as Adobe Illustrator. Your designs could and should be exported as raster files with a specific size and resolution for a website or any specific reason you might need it for. But the vector source file should always be saved. The most common and widely accepted vector file is the PDF. Whether you're delivering your design to a client or a print shop, you should always provide them with a PDF, as that is the industry standard file type. Another common vector file type is the EPS file, which used to be the standard before the rise of PDF, and most recently SVG file types have started becoming more and more popular as a result of the rise of smartphones and scalable websites. Now that you know the difference between raster and vector file formats, you're ready to pick the tool to design your project. Depending on your needs, there is currently a huge variety of programs, both free and paid for, available for you to pick from. Currently, the recognized industry standard tools for graphic design are Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, and InDesign. All of the three programs have the ability to work with and import raster-based files as well as vector, but are specialized and used for very different aspects of graphic design. Adobe Illustrator is the go-to program when working with vector graphics. It has the ability to import raster files such as photos, but it can't really be used to retouch, enhance, or manipulate those files. Illustrator is used for many purposes, but some of the more popular ones are the creation of logos, posters, illustrations, cartoons, and other artworks. It could be used to create characters and scenes, which then can be exported into After Effects for animation. And it has many more uses. But as graphic designers, we usually use it most commonly when creating designs that will be varying in size, like logos and posters. Adobe Photoshop, on the other hand, is a great multifunctional tool that is used by many industries and for many purposes. It has an amazing set of tools for working with raster-based images and great photo manipulation tools. While Photoshop can work with vector files and create vector shapes and objects, its functionality is very limiting. It works natively in raster, and for that reason, I would not suggest designing logos or other files that will be scaling with it. Photoshop is a great program to use as a graphic designer when you're working on projects with specific size. It's great for creating complicated posters that require heavy photo manipulation. It is also great when creating graphics for social media posts or to be incorporated in other design projects like magazines and brochures. Photoshop is also used by photographers for photo editing and retouching. It's used by digital artists as a great tool for digital painting and drawing. It is also a great tool to digitally sketch your ideas during the concept creation phase. To sum it up, as going over each use of Photoshop would take a tremendous amount of time. Photoshop is a great multifunctional tool that a graphic designer should definitely master. It has full vector creation capabilities, so Illustrator should be used for vector-based projects. And finally, Adobe InDesign. Just like Photoshop, InDesign is a great tool to use for many types of projects. It has vector creation capabilities, but again, just like Photoshop, they're quite limiting. It can't really manipulate raster images as Photoshop can, and it can't also do what Illustrator does. What InDesign is great at is compositing and creating multi-paged files and projects. It can combine both raster and vector files that you have created in Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator and easily compose them to make professional flyers, brochures, books, or even presentations. Unlike Photoshop and Illustrator, it's designed from the ground up with publishing in mind and the capabilities on working on files that require multiple pages. In conclusion, as a graphic designer, you're presented with a huge array of tools to pick from. Since this course is made as an introduction to the industry of graphic design, I believe you should learn to use and work with all of them. Adobe has created great tools with an easy to navigate interface that is very similar and standard between the three programs. The tools complement each other and work great together, and you should master all three of them as you would find it very helpful for the future of your career. Later in the course, you will get to experience the work process for yourself with some common designing tasks in Adobe Photoshop.